Alright, it is time for another retro review. Today I am joined by my good friend Ricky once again, because
What's
he
happening?
actually knows things about this game and I don't know a lot about this game. And we're also joined with Don, who's never played this game in his life.
Yep.
So, why he's here, I don't know. It's a party review. Anyway, today we're talking about Sonic R. This is a game for the Sega Saturn and the PC, released in 1997. See, the Sega Saturn is an interesting console because it never got a proper Sonic game. Because of the fact that a game called Sonic Extreme was being planned for it, but it was never released, and only thing known about it is like through people like finding it online and crap. So instead, we get Sonic R, which is a racing game where you actually race on foot as a bunch of different Sonic characters. Now, of all 7 Sonic racing games, yes, there's 7 of them, this is actually the one that got it right in concept. In gameplay, this game kinda sucks. But we love it anyway. Isn't that right, Rick?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable,
Yeah.
despite sucking.
Basically, the whole thing is you pick from at the start of the game. You only have 4 different Sonic characters, but you unlock 6 others, and you pick from the selection of Sonic characters ranging from Sonic, Knuckles, Tails to new characters like Metal Knuckles and the infamous Tails doll. Each character controls differently and plays differently and has their own little gimmicks to them. Sonic is the fastest character, but he also controls terribly and he can double jump. Tails can fly. Knuckles can glide for short distances and is the only character you should ever play as. Dr. Eggman can shoot people. Amy sucks. Um,
She can float across water.
oh, okay. And she's in a car for some reason. A very cumbersome,
Yeah.
slow piece of crap car.
She sucks, but that's not her gimmick that she sucks.
Well,
Her
she
gimmick
also
is
has
that
like
she
a
can,
she also has like a turbo thing that she can do.
yeah. But
Um,
mainly you use her for running across water.
yeah, but Eggman can go across water too, and he can shoot people. So
Yeah.
he's got something going for him. And then there's the robot counterparts. All of them are pretty similar to their regular counterparts, except they're a little harder to control. And Metal Sonic cannot double jump, but he is faster than Sonic, but just as hard to control. Egg Robo is playable, which was the first time he was playable. Why there's apparently this is the only one left in the world. Um, he can also shoot people and hover across water for short amounts of time, but there's no reason to play as him either. Metal Knuckles can glide, kind of. It's kind of a lame glide. You just kind of hover for a little bit and then fall, unlike Knuckles, who's capable of getting across larger gaps. And he's he's harder to control than Knuckles, but he's also very cool looking. He's Ricky's favorite, by the way.
I used to play as him a lot as a kid, not knowing that he's apparently crap. I haven't played this game in a few years, but
He's not as good as regular Knuckles. And then there's
yeah.
Tails Doll, who is one of the weirdest characters I've ever seen. Tails Doll is completely useless. Why they decided to make him an unlockable character, I'll never know. He can't fly, he's slow, and he's the worst character who isn't Amy. But one of the things I really like about this game is the way that you actually unlock these characters. See, hidden in each stage there are 5 tokens, 5 Sonic coins, if you will, that you have to collect in order to unlock these characters. But they're not just on the track for you to pick up. You actually have to go looking for them, similar to Diddy Kong Racing, with having to find stuff hidden in each track. And I actually like that. I think that's a cool little
Yeah, there's
idea.
like little shortcuts and stuff.
Yeah, it's a neat little idea to make you explore the stage, but you also have to come in first through third place, which can be a little annoying, especially if you're playing on a harder difficulty. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the stages, because this is an interesting one, because some of these stages are really terrible.
Can you feel the sunshine?
Oh, we're getting to that. We're getting to that. There's only 5 stages in this game. Each of them is cleverly named with the letter R as the first word in their name. Resort Island, Radical City, Regal Ruin, Reactive Factory, and Radiant Emerald. Resort Island is your typical island stage with lots of water and shortcuts and all that crap. Radical City is a weird
Living in the city.
city that has like a It has like a weird slot machine area for some reason. Regal Ruins is the worst stage in the game. There's a bunch of hairpin turns, and with controls this crappy, you don't want to be making hairpin turns.
Yeah.
Not to mention it's really easy to get lost. Reactive Factory has a bunch of shortcuts and weird water and stuff, and that one's not as good. And then Radiant Emerald is essentially Rainbow Road, but for Sonic R. There's only 5 stages in this game, and I feel like, I don't know if that's just because of the limitations of the console or what, but I feel like there could have been more. There should have been more.
The stages that are in this game are kind of rushed. Also, I mean, it's not like they're really in-depth, fantastically designed stages.
Yeah, they're all, you can beat them all in about 3 minutes. They're not very good, and just some of the turns are ridiculous. Look at this turn on Regal Ruin. How are you supposed to do that? It's ridiculous. It's terrible. I hate it. But now that we've gotten
everybody.
that...
Yeah, everybody.
Fine.
Yeah, everybody.
We'll talk about the music.
Yeah, everybody.
We'll talk about the music now. Maybe the one thing that's actually more infamous about this game than Tails Doll is the really strange soundtrack that it has. For some reason, it's got this weird, like, pop rock music sung by this chick, and I feel like she was related to somebody who worked on the game, trying to get a record contract or something. I don't understand it. It's so weird. Like, the songs are terrible, and at the same time, amazing. I don't get it. I love them, and even the main theme, Supersonic Racing, somehow found its way onto Super Smash Bros. Brawl's soundtrack.
Yes.
That's a thing. So yeah, the music's cool, the stages suck, the characters are cool. Let's talk about the fact that this game is actually awful for a second. Okay, the controls in this game are terrible. You're constantly running into walls and hitting things, and like, in order to drift, you have to press one button to drift right and one button to drift left. I don't like that, Raymond. I don't like it at all. It's hard, and it's a pain in the ass. Like, I know that you have to do that on Mario Kart and stuff too, but if you really want to, you could press the same button to drift on Mario Kart. You don't really have to.
Right.
Press 2 different buttons. But for this one, it's mandatory. If you press the, I play it on the GameCube because I don't have it for anything else. But like, if you press the left shoulder button, you drift left, and if you do that when you're trying to go right, you'll run right into a wall, which you're gonna run into walls anyway because that's the way this game was programmed. But it's awful. The controls in this game are awful, but I still love playing this game just because of all the Sonic racing game, it's the only one where Sonic's not in a car or on a hoverboard, and that makes the most sense to me.
Well, I think anybody can enjoy Sonic R if you go in with sort of a bad movie night mindset, where you realize that it's kind of awful and you're kind of poking fun at it as you go along. But I think anybody can get enjoyment out of this game.
Well, you can, because it's just, you gotta accept the fact that it's a bad game, but it's still a fun game, despite it all. Especially because of, the selection of characters and the music. The music you can poke fun at for who knows how long. It's an interesting thing. So yeah, it's a bad game, but it's also a very fun game. But I didn't play it as a kid. I didn't get to play it until Sonic Gems Collection came out for the GameCube. Much like the same thing with Sonic the Fighters. But Ricky had it as a child, and pretty much the main reason that he is here is to tell this interesting little story that he has relating to this game. Take it away, Ricky.
I did have Sonic R as a child. In fact, I had a beta version of Sonic R as a child that only had Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and only had 2 stages. And I played it as a kid, and when you're a kid, you don't know any better. So I was like, "This game's awesome! I can't wait to play the full version." Full version comes out. I'm pulling the disc out of the Sega Saturn, disc case that Sega Saturn games come in. And I'm pulling the disc, and it's not coming off of the little spindle. And I'm pulling on the disc. Broke the disc in half. Sonic R, the game that I so long awaited, which by the way is not even worth awaiting for anything. But I broke Sonic R, the disc. I broke it, and I was a little kid. I was mortified. I was like, I broke Sonic R. It's like I called my dad up at work just so I could like cry to him. I'm like, Dad, I broke Sonic R, and I had to wait like 2 weeks until I got another copy of Sonic R that I played. So yeah.
He played it and he loved it, ladies and gentlemen. When you're a kid, you like some pretty crappy games. Like as a kid, I liked Sonic Spinball, and we all know that game is actually worse than this one. So, believe it or not. The one last thing that I have to mention that I probably should have mentioned with the characters is that you can play as Super Sonic, which you have to collect all the 7 emeralds are hidden throughout all these levels, and it's the same idea as the coins, except there's 1 Chaos Emerald on Resort Island, and there's 2 in all the other stages except Radiant Emerald, which is strange. But anyway, you have to collect these emeralds by going through these secret passageways that require the use of like all the rings that you collect on the track. If you have enough, you get to go through the passageways. And you also have to come in first, or else getting that emerald doesn't count, which is a pain, because a lot of the times your opponents will be so far ahead of you, you won't even know.
Well, a lot of the times going through those doors to get the emeralds at all will prohibit you from coming in first, because you'll fall behind when you're taking this detour. But yeah, it's pretty annoying that you have to come in first, or else it doesn't count.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. It's like, because the controls in this game, sometimes you'll pass right by the emerald, have to stop, work your way around, and turn around, grab the emerald, and then go the other way. And then in some of the stages, going back to Regal Ruins again, the passageways to get to these emeralds are actually out of the way from where you would normally have to go. Like, you'd be running around the track, and then, like, you see off in the distance, there's this path that you have to go to get the emerald, and it's completely ridiculous. But if you manage to collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds,
and come in first.
And come in first on every single stage, you do unlock Super Sonic. And Super Sonic is probably the best character in the game, even though he controls the worst. But that's probably not going to matter because of how fast he is. He's just like Sonic, except faster. He can still double jump, blah, 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 blah. And once you unlock him and you play the game again, if you pick any of the robot characters, you actually race against the other robots and Super Sonic. If you do this, you're never going to win again, because Super Sonic will come in first every single time, because Super Sonic is the best character in the game. No reason to play as anybody else. So yeah, that's pretty much Sonic R in a nutshell. It's a fun game, it's a great concept, it has some great characters. I really wish Tails Doll and Metal Knuckles would come back. I don't understand why they haven't. There's some weird, like, Mecha Knuckles in one of the Sonic Advance games. Which one is it? I don't remember.
It's the first one, but he's completely different. He looks just like Knuckles, except gray. He's not like all robotic.
Well, yeah, he's not cool. So I really wish those characters would come back, and I really wish that if they make another Sonic racing game, they would take from a page from this book, because, like, why is Sonic in a car? That's the $1,000,000 question right there. So,
is this the same game that says select you Knuckles?
No, that's Sonic Drift.
Sonic Drift 2.
Good question, though, because that was pretty infamous among us for a while.
That was. Ricky actually had a screen name on AIM. Select you Knuckles.
I still do, I just don't. That's not the one I use.
Right. Well, anyway, that's Sonic R, so I think that gets all the old school Sonic games out of the way, except for any of the Game Gear games. So next time, I am going to be taking on a big one, Sonic Adventure. So tune in then. Thanks for joining me, Ricky, and I guess Don.
Yeah, sure.
And,
peace.
I'll see you all next time.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, everybody.